Hi again, everybody. It's Kevin Knessa coming to you from the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com on this, the 25th day of April in the year 2023. Sure hope you're enjoying your Tuesday, no matter where it is you are in the country. A little gray skies today, a little bit on the nippy side, but we're still getting closer and closer to the summer, so we can't complain too much about the weather, I guess. But as you do every Tuesday, you welcome me into your home so that I could bring you this week's news. But before we do that, I have something to tell you. Many of you are probably wondering why you haven't seen your newspaper yet. Today, if you've been to the stores or if you come by our office, there are no newspapers. And here's what happened. On Sunday night, our newspapers are printed at a press in Rockaway, New Jersey. And that press is a Gannett press. And apparently on Friday night, the press caught fire and caused damage to 66% of the equipment or the ability to print 66% of the weekly and daily newspapers that Gannett prints. There are a lot of newspapers that are affected by this. It is The Observer, of course, and there is also countless weekly newspapers, numerous daily newspapers that are all affected by this. And the Bergen Record, the Morristown Daily Record, a whole bunch of others. USA Today is part of their network. And so, unfortunately, that's the reason why our newspaper is not on your stand right now. It's not in your deli. It's not in your liquor store. It's not in our office. Now, we are still not 100% sure when the newspaper will be printed. We have gone to the ends of the earth to find alternate printers. But let's be realistic, folks. In the year 2023, there are not that many printing presses left that can print newspapers the way it used to be. You could go a couple of miles and you would find a printing press back in the 60s and 50s and 40s, but not now. So our options are limited. And with the demand to get printed, a lot of other papers are in the same boat as we are, looking for somebody else to print the paper this week. The other thing is we're told that it may be up to a month before the Gannett printer can get back online because they have to get parts. They're going to have to repair it. We're talking about $1 million pieces of equipment here. So this is not going to be one of those things where you bring in somebody and then the next day it's ready. So we're looking at perhaps as much as a month of having to go to another printer for the time being. And we are pretty certain we're there, but we just don't know. We won't know until the papers are being circulated, God willing, sometime this week. So when we know specifically when the paper will be circulated, we will let you know. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section of whatever platform you're watching this video on, and we will do our best to answer you if we know the answer. But again, there's a lot of unknowns right now because we just don't know. With so many other weeklies trying to get printed and get on the press, it's going to be a minor miracle to get there, but we hope to have something for you in the coming days. But that's the reason why you haven't seen the printed product. On the other hand, we are blessed because we have an online presence that I venture to say is far superior to almost every weekly newspaper in this state. And because of that, you see on your screen right now, right here, where I'm pointing, Magic with Glass, what the front page would look like if it was printed. So what I'm going to suggest is this. We'll let you know when the print product comes out. But if you know people who are looking for the print product and maybe have never used our website before, now's the time to learn. because this would be a good way to get used to the product and how it works online. So, theobserver.com will have every single thing that would normally be in print. Everything. It will look exactly like it does when it's in print, and it's not a penny to read. It's everything is free as it would be if you were to pick it up in your newsstand. So, if you know senior citizens who may not be used to using the internet, try to help them if you could. We will too if we find anybody who needs the help. But please direct them that way. I know this is going to be a learning curve for some people. I understand that. And we're going to do our best to make sure that this doesn't last 1 second longer than it has to. But it is the situation that we are faced with right now. We would give anything for it to be any other way. And when I tell you yesterday that Lisa and Bob worked diligently to find an alternate printer, I am not kidding you. How the two of them were able to walk yesterday after the day we had going through all of this blows my mind, because it was enough to take anybody out from the stress of trying to figure out what was coming next. And we didn't even know what was going to come next. So that's where the situation is right now. Again, we will do our best to get us back and running and into the stores and on the newsstands as quickly as possible. And the second we know when the paper is going to be delivered, we will let you know. So there's no need to call and say, when is the paper coming? We don't know yet. We just don't know yet. And when we do, we will certainly let you know. It is 40 minutes past the hour. Canessa here with you on the Observer Live on this Tuesday afternoon. As we get into the paper, before we do that, I'm not going to rub it in to anybody in particular, but last night at the Madison Square Garden Arena in New York City, the New Jersey Devils tied up their series with the New York Rangers. 2 games apiece, 2-2, after the Devils fell behind 2-0 in 2 horrendous hockey games. Both games in the Prudential Center were 5-1, and last night the Devils won 3-1 at Madison Square Garden, and Jack Hughes is a superstar, a bona fide superstar, and now it becomes a best of 3. The next 2 wins take the series, and I'll tell you what, this kid, Akira Schmid, is unbelievable. He is tough as any goaltender I've ever seen, including Marty Brodeur. I can't believe I'm even saying that up to this point. And he has no nerves. He's not afraid of anyone or anything. And I'm sure we're going to see him again on Thursday, because the next game is Thursday, because the geniuses at the National Hockey League put a 2-day break in between games 4 and 5. So we have to wait until Thursday night to see game 5. But this is going to be something else, because they look flat. They looked devastated. They looked inexperienced. They looked almost bored in games 1 and 2. And then they just come back, win in overtime on Saturday night at Madison Square Garden, and didn't do the same thing, winning 3-1 this time at Madison Square Garden as well. I tell you what, it's just remarkable. This is not about travel time. The distance between the 2 arenas is 8 miles. This is because of scheduling conflicts. That's the reason why, but it still stinks. There's no reason to have 2 games in between. 1 is plenty. But anyway, this week's, we'll see what happens with the Devils. Don't forget Thursday, game number 5 at the Prudential Center. And believe it or not, there are a lot of tickets left. A lot of tickets left. So check it out at NewJerseyDevils.com if you're interested in going, because the secondary market, there's a lot of tickets. On the front page this week, Magic with Glass. Jessica McMasters has been a teacher in Kearney for a very, very long time. I first got to know her when she was teaching the 8th grade at St. Cecilia's Elementary School, and after that school closed, she went over to Lincoln. She's been there ever since, and that was 2002. And they had the kids, she got a grant to put on this incredible workshop on how glass is blown, and the kids attended. I'm pretty sure, on a volunteer basis, and they, I've never seen it glass done like this in person. I've seen videos and movies and things like that, but it was just fascinating to see how this little glass thing that looked like a light bulb turned into a plate. It was really, really fascinating. That oven that you see there, if you're looking over here, it's got that kind of like orangey glow to it, was 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And just imagine what happens. I mean, and the precautions they've got to take when they're doing this work is remarkable. I don't know how. They do it without gloves, some of them. And I was just thinking, like, one little slip and they're going to have to get their finger amputated from a burn. I mean, it's got to be just horrific if you ever touch it. Luckily, they hadn't. Nobody did. Everybody was safe. The kids had a great time. The superintendent was there. Kathy Estrella was there, and a few others from the district. So Jess McMasters is as creative a teacher as there is in this district, as far as I'm concerned. She comes up with all these great projects and things for the kids to do. So read about it. I'm going to put some more photographs up on theobserver.com tomorrow for you to see, because it was just a great thing. It's costly, so it's not the type of thing you can do on a regular basis at a school. Let's put it that way. I don't think we're going to see a glass blowing class at any point in time at the high school or at Lincoln Middle School or anywhere else for that matter. But when you do get a chance to partake in it, it's just a real great process, and some beautiful work comes from it. So that's on the front page. You can see that at theobserver.com right now if you get a chance. On the bottom of page 1, it is a piece that I had a chance to sit down with Jack Corbett and Jennifer Collins. Hidden in Plain Sight is coming up and next week, and it's happening at Kearney High School this year. And if you've never seen the Hidden in Plain Sight program before, you kind of have to, because it is very, very important, especially for adults and parents of young children. Because what they do is they put out a fake room and set it up so that people can go around, look at it, and think of potential spots where drugs could be hidden. And there's a DEA agent who's going to be there. And you'd be shocked at some of the places where kids can hide drugs. There's false bottoms on soda cans, soda bottles, Altoid trays, pens. Like, this is a stylus that I'm holding in my hand right now, but you don't think of it, but you could twist it off and there could be drugs on the inside. And, the Kearney Prevention Coalition with Jack and Jen have put a lot of time and effort into preparing for this. And it's going to be at the high school. I'm not going to give you the dates or anything on the broadcast because I want you to read the story. But it's at the high school at 6:30 the night that it's going on. And I really hope parents will go. I really, really do. Let's just put it this way. The first time they did this, well, I shouldn't say the first time, but when they did this last year, the crowd was not what was anticipated. They did a really nice job of putting it all together, and it was a disappointing crowd. So if you are a parent, or if you have a teenager in your family, anybody, it's so important to attend this program, and I don't think you will regret it. The good thing is they're having an ice cream truck for afterwards. There's going to be all sorts of presentation tables put out at the high school as well. And when I tell you that Jack and Jen have put in a ridiculous amount of work, I am not kidding. So please, if you have kids, try to show up for this at the high school. It's very, very important. My Aunt Annie is in the chat room, and she asks about Sean Burke, former Devils goaltender. One of my nightmares. I see Sean Burke. He had one good year, and somehow he lasted a long time. But 1 year, Sean Burke gave up 4, but John Van Beesbrook gave up more that night, which was something we remember. My uncle is also here from Carlsbad, California, saying, hoping the pattern continues. Love you, nephew, which of course means of the road team winning the whole series. That is just bizarre. I didn't mention that earlier. Games 1 and 2, the road team won. Games 3 and 4, the road team won. So I hope that changes. It's something's got to give here. Somebody's got to win at home. So why not happen in Newark on Thursday night? Annie's laughing at that. She remembers. This goes back to 1989. The Devils were playing the Rangers at what was then known as the Brendan Byrne Arena. The Devils won 5-4 in overtime on a goal, and John Van Beesbrook was playing for the Rangers, and this drunk guy over by the catwalk to go over to Giant Stadium was chanting, Sean Burke gave up 4, but John Van Beesbrook gave up more. And it was going on for about a half hour, and that's something that 30 years later we still remember very, very fondly. An arrest was made in the Easter morning robbery of a Dunkin' Donuts and Nutley. This was brazen because there had been another one at the Dunkin' Donuts, one of the Dunkin' Donuts in Secaucus, just a couple of hours before. So when they went there and didn't get enough money, I guess, they decided to go to the Nutley Dunkin' Donuts, and they wound up getting caught. And an alert Springfield police officer is the man who is responsible for hauling in the suspects responsible for this terrible break-in and armed robbery. So good on the Secaucus, Nutley, and Springfield police departments for solving that crime rather quickly. Now, real quick, I want you to know about Lido. Lido opened up in the same spot that Centani Restaurant used to be in North Arlington. And if you know anything about history, you know that Lido has been around for over 60 years. And they have a cult-like following in their one location in Hackensack. It's a very old-school place. When you walk in there, you think you have been transported back in time. That's how wildly old it is there. So they're trying to replicate it in a way in the North Arlington store. But when I tell you, they have done a great job and have been putting in an incredible effort to get the place in tip-top shape. I'm not kidding. And I had a chance to sit down with 2 members of the staff, including the lead chef and one of the managers of the North Arlington location. They're really, really working hard to make it a fantastic family-run place, and they have succeeded so far. And they're having some great specials, too. There's buy one, get ones every day. They're having a free pizza pie for teachers on May the 2nd, and all sorts of other specials that go on. They're known mostly for the sliced steak sandwich and for its very, very thin crust pizza. Apparently, they can make it as thin as anybody in the state of New Jersey, which I can't imagine is an easy task to do. But those are the 2 main items that are most notorious at Lido. But they are doing a great job expanding the menu a bit, having a lot of offerings. I sampled the loaded baked potato soup, and let's just put it this way, not just for the fact that I love baked potato soup, I wanted more afterwards. That's how good it was. So the Lido in North Arlington is at 11 River Road. Give it a chance, and especially on May 2nd, if you are a teacher, come in with your ID. You will receive a 12-inch pie for free with up to 1 topping with it. Before we move on, Annie was saying in the chat room, my aunt, she wouldn't walk over the bridge. That was, if you recall, when there were games that were played at the arena, when there was large crowds, you had to park in Giant Stadium and either walk over the bridge or take a bus in the later years. And that bridge was pretty scary. It always felt like it was going to collapse because it was just kind of like a temporary thing. But she didn't want to walk over because the crowd was big, so we had to wait for the whole crowd to get out. So I think we got home at like 1 o'clock in the morning that night. Thank God it was a Friday. Richard Tomko is the superintendent of schools in Belleville. He was cited by the Township of Belleville for his leadership. He has been in that position since 2015, and he's doing a fantastic job. Tim Wagner has the blotter, as he does every week, and unfortunately, there have been more shoplifting incidents over at the Target, so take it and go with that as you please. It's Car Care Awareness Month, so we have a special section on that in this week's paper, and then just a couple of other things to go over before we wrap it up for the day. Jason Bernstein has 3 sports stories, including an athlete of the week right here, so make sure you check those out at your earliest opportunity. And we also have a Mother's Day special section. Mother's Day is only a couple of weeks away, as hard as that is to believe. We're almost into May here, and there are some Mother's Day activities that we offer tips on. There are 2 pages of classifieds, as there are each and every week. Please check those out, especially since you won't necessarily have them in print right now. It's going to be important to let people know that if they need to find a place to live or if they're looking for a job, that they can find it at theobserver.com this week. So make sure you let them know if you get a chance. Alana Bevins is here. Hello, Alana. Good to see you. Have not seen you in a long time. And, of course, my aunt is also here, and she's probably heading out, too. She said, good job, Kev, and I appreciate that very, very much so. So don't forget the classifieds there. Check those out. Bolivia here, and Genuine Smiles to wrap things up. So that's going to do it for this edition of The Observer Live. Again, thank you for your patience as we work through this problem with our printing press that caught fire. We will keep you updated, so check back at theobserver.com and on our social media channels and this video channel, whichever one you're watching on, and we will bring you the latest information as soon as we have it, and that will hopefully be sometime today. If not today, tomorrow. It's good to see you all today. Thank you so much for coming by. So from the newsroom of The Observer and theobserver.com, Kevin Canessa signing off for now, and I hope to see you back here later today. Take care, everybody.